But that's the US, not South Africa. I didn't know what to expect.
South Africans are big people and we're hungry.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Culture Shock, where we have different nationalities from all around the world to compare between what is in their country versus what is in Singapore. And I am Zain. I have been living in Singapore for all my life, and today we have...
Ciao! Hi guys, I'm back. And yes, I've also been living in Singapore for my entire life, but I'm very excited to hear from our guest today. What about you guys?
I'm Devon. I'm from South Africa. I've been in Singapore for 4 years and I teach.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm from Malaysia. I'm your neighbor. I've been here for only 7 months and I'm in an advertising firm. I work there.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah. I'm from Philippines and I'm a teacher by profession and I'm doing content creating right now.
Hi, my name is Dominic. I'm from Germany. I'm living for almost 8 years now in Singapore and I'm working for a chemical distribution company.
Well, today we're going to be talking about cost of living, which is something that basically everyone will have to experience. And I'm glad you guys have an understanding of the cost of living in Singapore so that you can compare what it's like with your own country, your home countries back there. So let's start off with the first question, okay? When it comes to cost of living, I'm gonna break it down right now. Something everyone needs.
Which is?
Every day.
Food!
Food, you're right! If you're a very budget-friendly person like I am, most of my meals in Singapore would cost about $3 to $5 average.
$3 is like quite little because I know like chicken rice also they would sell it for at least $3.50 at the hawker center. But for myself, like I cook a lot, so every month my grocery is about $200 to $250 thereabouts for a whole month. So I think if you break it down, maybe it's about like $5 a day ish.
Maybe I eat a lot more than you. I spend about $500 a month on groceries.
What about per meal? So on average, if you ate out, you would spend about $5 to $6 on a meal?
No, I would say I spend, like if I order Food Panda or from to home, or if I go out, it's about between $10 and $30 per meal.
But how about back in South Africa? Is it a lot more or is it a lot less?
No, a lot less.
A lot less.
Yes. I think an average meal to eat out in South Africa would be about between like if I ate one meal with $3 to $5, I would say.
$3 to $5. Oh, okay.
Well, when I went overseas to the US, I did have to share my meals with people just because it was so big.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's the US, not South Africa. I didn't know what to expect.
South Africans are big people and we're hungry.
And what about you? How much do you spend in Singapore and how much do you spend back at home?
It's actually like a mix. I don't really kind of keep track. But recently I've been starting to cook. So it's about like $60. I buy my groceries and then I cook.
Give me a number, average price in Singapore.
Like lunch, probably $10 to $15. Then there's dinner and $10 again. So it's like $25, which is very expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't really like eat breakfast. I think food is much more expensive in Malaysia.
Oh, really?
For me,
but you
you
have
don't
the
you
exchange
don't
rate.
convert. If you don't convert, it's different. Yeah. So let's say you earn $1,000 here, then Malaysia you earn $1,000. Yeah, it's really way more expensive. You can go to a mall and then you eat chicken rice for 9 ringgit and 90 cents, like the set meals.
I understand.
It's very expensive, I feel.
I think this puts things into perspective because when Singaporeans go over to Malaysia, we often do the conversion and we think that Malaysia food is going to be very affordable, but for someone living there, it's very different.
For me, actually, it depends on where you eat in Manila. So I'm basically from Manila and it's like the city, right? So if we would compare how much we spend on a meal in a restaurant here and in Singapore, it's a little bit the same. If you would not be eating in a restaurant, you can get it for about $1.50 to $2. For us, I cook a lot. So basically, when we go for groceries, it could reach until like $150 in a week.
In Germany, haven't been there for a long time to check that out, but I would say more expensive than Singapore. I think Singapore has a great variety when it comes to very cheap food and very expensive food.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can have really everything and you can have any kind of cuisine, which I appreciate very much. I'm from the north, from Hamburg, Germany. and I would say maybe 20 to 30 Sing dollars, depends on where you go. So you can go to a food hawker, but then it's maybe McDonald's and stuff, of course. And if you go to a, let's say, normal restaurant, I would say 30, 40. So then you should get a decent meal, and also same as in the US or South Africa, the Germans like to eat a lot as well. So the portion is definitely good for two. I think that's what you
But you
experience
can't
as
share,
well,
right? You said like they
Yeah,
expect you
Germans are very picky when it comes to
Share.
ordering food. So sharing is caring is not so much. Maybe a change now. So basically, you order for yourself.
Is it because the cost of living there is a lot higher in Germany? That's why the food is that expensive, or?
No, cost of living is, I think it's the other way around. So cost of living, I would say, is much cheaper in Germany. First of all, you can afford a car. So you don't have to pay a fortune to have your own car. You own the car forever. You don't have to renew after 10 years. So based on that, I think Germany also apartments are cheaper than in Singapore. So you pay less there, but then a little bit more for the food.
All right, I guess on that note, let's talk about rent.
Yeah.
All of us are renting in Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough,
Yes.
a lot of Singaporeans actually live with their families, but both Zain and I are renting. So we do have a comparison over there. How much do you pay for rent?
Okay, so mine is a 2-bedder condominium, which is about 743 square feet. Quite small, very equivalent to a 3-bedroom HDB flat in Singapore, right? And I'm paying 2.9 per month. I mean, I'm split between me and my housemate, so it's like I'm paying 1,450. How about you?
Okay, so I also stay in a 3-bedroom condo, and this is quite a tiny condo because 3 bedrooms sounds like a lot, but it's a very tiny space. It's about 700 to 800 square feet, and I take the biggest room. The total price for the condo is 2.5. I got a very good price for it.
Yeah.
And I'm paying 1.1.
So I live in a 1-bedroom by myself, and I pay $3,000. But it's quite small. It's like 400 square foot, I think.
Okay.
But I really, really love it.
Yeah.
Today I actually did some research, and I looked at if I converted that, and I looked for a house for what that would be in a South African rand. I couldn't believe what I would be able to afford. Like a 3 or 4 bedroom house, double-story house with a garden.
Okay, let's
like
move.
a big-
Ciao.
Yeah, it's like no. And I have a small little space here, but it's different. It's like South Africa's bigger, there's more space and everything.
So how much would rent for a space like yours right now if it's a 1-bedroom in South Africa?
Probably like $400. The rent in South Africa, I think, Singapore's 540% more.
Whoa.
Wow, that is actually a lot more.
Okay.
It's a lot more.
I live in Queenstown. I pay $1,000 for just quite a small room. It's like a medium-sized room.
Is it an HDB flat? Okay, so like in the HDB bedroom, $1,000.
Yeah.
And how much would that cost in KL?
I think about 900. Like if you live like further a bit from Kuala Lumpur, you can get a really good like room for about 1,200 to 1,500. That's why like my friends, they don't want to move out, so they're always like staying with their parents.
If my parents were here, I would be living with them for sure.
But like to buy a house in Kuala Lumpur, would it be like the same as well in Singapore, you think?
Definitely more cheaper. You can get a place for about 800,000 ringgit.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
How much does a landed house in KL would usually cost?
Maybe like 800 to 1 million. Yeah, you don't convert. Don't convert first.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, actually, if you don't convert, then it's about the same in Singapore, thereabouts. I mean, landed properties in Singapore, depending on the type of house that you're living in,
Landed fee would be a lot more.
it's a
in
lot more. Maybe
Singapore.
like about a million plus.
Way more than a million. I think it
2
would be like
million
4
plus
or
plus
5.
plus plus.
A condo in Singapore right now, a new launch would be about 1.5
Yeah.
for a 1-2 bedroom. What about the Philippines?
Yeah.
It depends where you live. So I used to live in Manila, and 8 years ago I was living in a studio type condo by myself, and it cost around 12,000 pesos. So that's like 300 Singapore dollars. But I'm alone, and doesn't include utilities, but then it's still in a condo. So right now we are living in the outskirts of Singapore, which is very nice and breezy.
I didn't know Singapore had outskirts.
For us, it feels like. So we're staying in Cashew,
Okay, that one
It's outskirt, right? You can hear the birds in the morning.
I agree.
We got it really, really good price
Still.
wise because of the space that we have and the amount that we got it. So it's 3,800. Correct me if I'm wrong. is that
Correct.
Right? Yeah, but it's a 3-bedroom condo, and it has a very spacious living room and very spacious kitchen as well, and we really love it.
Germany, I think if you have like, I don't go by square feet, I go by square meter. So because of the matrix system. So 50 square meters, I would say you pay like 750, 800 Sing dollars per month in a city. So if you go outside the city, then of course it's getting cheaper, maybe 600 or 500 Sing dollars, I would say. But then of course depends on where your job is. You need to commute, maybe need a car or whatever to drive to the city. Either spend a little bit more to live in the city and then no need to pay for a car, or spend less and then have the luxury of a car maybe if you want to. Cashew, I think it's 1,300 square feet. So quite really spacious.
It's spacious.
Old unit, so was really a steal.
I guess it is quite similar, but generally, do you feel that living in Singapore and renting in Singapore is more expensive or cheaper than where you're from?
More expensive.
More expensive,
expensive.
definitely.
We all agree.
The world agrees.
I think it's mainly because of like the limited land, like the space, and
Definitely,
then
yeah.
like every condo also like the people who rent it out, they like to tap on, okay, it's near MRT, okay, higher, and then it's near expressway, higher, and there's a lot of demand for people to rent as well in Singapore because we do have a lot of foreigners, so it's like a supply and demand kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. So it kind of makes sense that it's a lot more expensive, but at the same time, like let's say if you compare it to the standard of living in your country, like per income, right? Do you think it's more expensive or still less expensive?
I think it's about the same. It
about the
depends on, like, of course, how much you earn as well. Like, if I would convert it to Philippine peso, I mean, I'll be rich in Philippines. But in Singapore, I'm like, okay.
Middle class.
Yeah.
You mentioned that, let's say if you live further from the city, then of course you might want to have the luxury of having a car to commute. So what is public transportation like in Germany, and how much does it cost versus in Singapore?
You can buy monthly cards or annual cards. Of course, as longer you contract, as better the deal will be. So I would say an average 100 Sing dollar per month if you go for the annual ticket, and then you can choose. So basically in Hamburg they have like a system in different zones. So then if you buy all 3 rings as they call it, then you pay of course the highest price because it really goes to the suburbs, and that would cost you maybe around 100 Sing dollar, maybe 120. So then you can use bus and train as much as you want.
So in Singapore, we also have a similar, I guess, system, but
Yeah.
I personally don't use it because I find it actually more expensive than how much I would spend if I just tapped my card in and out all the time.
Okay.
Well, is public transport expensive for you in Germany?
I wouldn't say so. I think it's still affordable. Having a car is also not so expensive. Really depends on the gas price maybe. But about the card you were talking, right? Is it available for everyone in Singapore or only for locals?
Not a lot of people use the annual pass or the unlimited tap one because I do think when I did the math, I was spending about $120 on public transport, just going to wherever I needed to go. But the concession was going to be about $200. I think it's not a popular system.
That's why I've never heard of it. Okay.
No lah, but I think in Singapore we try to make it affordable for students, for like our pioneer generation, because they do get a discount for their bus rides, right, and their MRT rides. But I think without concession, not much.
And weekend is more expensive, right? Riding the MRT.
Slightly.
With the adult monthly travel card, commuters can purchase at $128 for unlimited travel on Singapore's train and bus, but you have to be a Singapore citizen and permanent residents only.
Oh well.
Okay lah, so we do have that kind of system, I guess. $128.
$128.
Yeah.
Okay.
But let's say on a monthly, let's say if you have a car, how much would you spend monthly on gas, for instance?
I would say gas, if you want to fill up your gas tank nowadays, is maybe 80 Sing dollars and then you have to do the math, right? How far away your workplace is. So maybe single round trip, 70 kilometers from the suburb to the city. Your car can bring you, I don't know, 700 kilometers. So I think you need to fill up your gas tank also 3-4 times. So then you are at more than 200 Sing dollars.
If I want to buy the cheapest car in Germany, how much will I need to pay for the car and own it for the rest of my life?
I think one time I checked, a long time ago, more than 10-12 years ago, you can buy a car as cheap as 750 bucks. So basically it's a very old car, maybe 20-30 years old, but every 2 years you have to go to some kind of technical service.
Okay.
So in those cars, just pass the technical service, so brakes, tires, all are in good condition, so you can drive it for another 2 years, and I would say you can get that around 750 Sing.
Oh my.
Some old Ford or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Very different. In Singapore, you buy a car and you can use that money to pay for all your gas. In Germany,
But please, it's just 4 wheels, nothing special, no air conditioning.
Like this is like the cheapest car. But
It's really bring you from A to B only.
I see.
well, in the second-hand market, I think I've seen cars in Singapore for 20 grand without all the paperwork.
Then how about in Philippines?
So the most common public transportation in Philippines is riding a jeepney.
Oh, what is that?
It's like a bus, but it's open air, and it's basically just made of metals.
Just 10 to 12 packs, right?
Yeah, 10 to 12 packs. It's quite fun to ride actually, but it's not so safe, and you really need to know where you need to alight. And I'm not so good at that. I will end up somewhere in the province if I would ride the jeepney. But one ride would cost 12 pesos, which is around 30 to 40 cents in Singapore. So it's similar to maybe your bus ride, would you say?
I think bus ride
in Singapore-
about 55 cents
The minimum is actually 90 now.
or 90 cents.
55, 55 is if you're a student.
Ah.
I'm not sure if they've increased it, but when I was a student, they kept the price at 55 cents per trip. Now, as an adult, you pay by distance. So the shortest distance that you travel will still cost you 80, 90 cents.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So when you were in Philippines, how do you commute mostly?
It's either a cab or I drive. Yeah, driving is quite easy because the cars is basically very cheap. It's very affordable, and taking a taxi is also, just a click away, or you can just flag up a taxi anywhere. Riding a taxi and having a car is not as difficult as here in Singapore. Having a car in Singapore is really unimaginable for me. Because in Philippines, the cheapest that you could really pay for a car, like similar to what you were talking about in Germany, probably around 100,000 pesos, which is roughly around, let's say, 1,000 or 2,000 Sing dollars. But that's your own car already.
But let's say like the average price of a car, like a 5-seater sedan.
Yeah, I would say a decent car, let's say a Honda City, probably around $5,000 to $6,000. Yeah, and a brand new one. Yeah.
Well, it really goes back to the same issue with housing in Singapore, and that we don't have space. And to reduce congestion, they really tax car ownership very heavily. But I think they really make up for it with the very efficient public transport network. Yeah.
Definitely.
Public transport.
What? Really? Are we getting there?
Yes. Why? What's wrong?
No, nothing's wrong, guys. It's just that my friends and I, we don't really use the public transport because it's not very efficient. And to be very honest, right, even to walk to the train station or whatnot, you actually need to take a Grab or ask my parents to send me there. So what is the point, right? So we drive a lot in Malaysia, in KL, yeah. And the cars there are not too expensive. You can get a brand new car, like an Axia. I'm not sure if you've heard of an Axia.
I think I've seen it.
It's very, very popular in Malaysia. It's about maybe 37,000 ringgit. So you pay down payment, then every month you pay maybe less than 500. It's very doable to be very honest.
Well, it makes more sense to drive actually. I mean, the fact that you have to take a Grab to the bus stop,
Yeah.
that is really.
The last time I wanted to go to Kuala Lumpur because the Grab was 50 ringgit and I didn't want to pay 50 ringgit. So I had to ask my dad to drop me to the train station, and I even got lost. Cause like it's not direct, you know, like here you have malls and stuff, right? But there you have to like walk
Okay.
or grab again. So really, I don't really see the point.
So you just drive.
Yeah, I drive most of the time, but like when I go out at night, I will take Grab or my friends can pick me up.
But is the Grab there like a lot more cheaper than the Grab in Singapore, you think?
I think it would be the same,
same.
to be very honest, yeah.
How about in South Africa? Because I'm interested to know, because I've never been to South Africa before.
I'm embarrassed to say I've never used the public transport in South Africa. It wasn't even in my frame of reference. I never even saw trains and buses where I grew up. And I think the trains and buses cater mostly to the people who live in informal settlements, so more on the outskirts of the city. And South African taxis, which are not like our taxis that you can flag down in the street, like we don't even have those. We have like minibus taxis. So in South Africa, there's like 50 people that get out of that taxi. 50, 60 people. They like hang on the sides. So it's not exactly safe. We always drove everywhere. You don't even walk, never mind public transport. So it's a different world altogether.
Okay.
I did some research though, and I did see that like if you wanted a ride in a minibus taxi, then it would be like 20 Rand, which is about $2. Depending where you go, obviously. And then there is also a monthly pass thing where you can take a metro train or one of the buses, which is like, I think between 80 and 100 Singapore dollars. But yeah, we also have cars everywhere you drive. Definitely no walking.
And how much is like, say, owning a car, brand new car in South Africa like?
Before I came overseas, and I had my first brand new car, which I was very proud of, which I paid, I think, 400,000 Rand, which is like $35,000.
Okay.
And that was a VW Golf. And then the same car I saw online would be like $150,000 in Singapore, something like that. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right. So what do you feel about, well, I guess the price of transportation in Singapore generally?
Grab, I think Grab is so expensive nowadays. I avoid taking Grab now, but I take public transport all the time, every day. Every day I commute on the train to work. I don't think I even reach $100 a month for my public transport. It's quite close and it's convenient, it's safe, it's amazing. I love it.
And how do you guys usually get about in Singapore?
Yeah.
Public transport,
No Grabs, huh?
more expensive.
Oh, y'all can try Gojek. Sometimes it's like there are different platforms called Grab or Gojek or Tada or like Ride. So there are other platforms that sometimes like we will look into it, and then sometimes it's a lot cheaper. Like there was once I wanted to take a Grab from town at night, right, to go back home, which is all the way in the east side, like near Changi Airport. Grab was like 50 plus, but Gojek was like 20 plus.
What?
Yeah, so you have to, like, I mean, there are different platforms available if you don't want to take public transport in Singapore. I don't know about other countries, but Singapore one, we end at 12, right? 12 midnight, right, for public transports or something like that. But in South Africa, do you know, like, maybe how do they operate or
No idea.
KL?
No idea too.
No idea.
Yeah, it seems like no one else
nobody
takes
else,
public transport.
nobody takes public transport.
Yeah,
like-
until you guys came to Singapore.
Yeah.
Really is true.
Okay. Okay, you guys talked about a lot of things in Singapore already.
Yep.
And now, with all that in mind, what cost in Singapore shocks you the most?
For me, the cost of McDonald's in Europe is just not having it. Like, you have to pay for condiments, you know?
I didn't know that.
Like, Singapore no need. To me, that is like the biggest disparity lah, like in terms of food, because that's what I always look forward to whenever I visit different countries, and that's how I can compare, right?
I honestly feel similar about the food costs overseas. When I was staying in the States for study abroad, food there was about $20 a meal, which, considering how I spend $3 a meal here, was very different. Yeah. But what about you guys?
Yeah.
Coming from a very famous car nation, I would say, you know, with all those nice car brands, it's definitely the cars. Because I agree, public transport is amazing, but after it would be quite nice to just hop in your car, go somewhere, you know, and not wait until someone from Comfort Delgro or from Grab, you know, feels the mercy to accept your ride. That would be really, really nice.
I think one more thing that we could really consider for us foreigners that is really shocking when it comes to cost, aside from transportation, rents, and all that, is the medical cost.
Oh.
It's just ridiculous for us, for foreigners, because we don't have such thing as Medisave, whatever, CPF, all this kind of stuff, right? So, I mean, going to let's say a specialist or just seeing a doctor for us is like, phew, phew, phew. You know, it's
How much would that cost?
Back home, yeah.
back home
in Singapore.
in Singapore first. Let's say it would cost around 200, 250.
For a
That
doctor
is just-
visit?
That's just for a doctor visit. But I'm talking about like if you would need to see like a specialist, not like a general practitioner. So because that is usually covered from insurance from your company, right?
Yeah.
But going to a specialist would cost you around 200 to 250, sometimes even at 300, and that's just for 15 minutes consultation.
Yeah, I know.
So in Philippines, you'll already be admitted to a hospital for that cost.
That's true. Dental costs are also super expensive.
Yeah.
Like I had to get one little crown done, and in Singapore the doctor charged me $2,000. To me, that's a lot. And when I went back home, I had the same thing done, and it cost me $700.
So I have similar experience as you. When I came over here, okay, go to a dentist. So it was an American guy, so he really wanted a lot of money. So I asked the locals, so they sent me somewhere to a local clinic, which was much cheaper. So sometimes can be cheaper.
Or you can go to JB.
Will you take me?
Yes.
We can take the bus together.
I don't want to go alone. I'm scared.
Okay, and for you, what's the biggest difference?
For me, it's definitely the cars. Like I still cannot understand like such a big difference. Like in Malaysia, you know, like I told you the price of the car.
Yeah.
But here it's like you say renting, right? You still have to give it back to you still have to dispose it, right? After a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's so expensive. Yeah. Yeah. So that's one major thing that really shook me.
Okay.
No, but I understand why the government has to increase the price of the cars lah, because of like we have such a small space with like very limited roads. So I get it, but I also really understand why like the point about the medical being expensive in Singapore, because right, my brother, he does his braces in Batam because it is so much cheaper to do in Batam than in Singapore. By a lot, and he wouldn't mind going like taking the ferry to Batam to do his braces and his appointments because it is significantly a lot cheaper than doing your braces in Singapore.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
No, I've heard my one friend who used to live here, she's American, and she went to JB to have her eyes done, to like eyes tested and fitted for spectacles and everything.
Wow.
So I forgot about that. That's such a good idea.
I used to do that when I wore glasses. I would go to JB to get contacts, to get my glasses done.
Oh yes.
And then eat.
And eat. And watch movies.
Alright, so that is all that we have for today's video. If you like this video, please remember to like, share, subscribe.
Watch other videos over there and ring the notification bell.
Bye!